Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's 2026. Yes, we are here. We are here. And I'm going to keep saying it as I get my new visitors, new subscribers, new viewers. Hit that like, subscribe, follow. Please, guys. Come on. I need to ramp these numbers up. I know I'm on zero. So let's get it done. Let's get it done. Please hit that like, follow, subscribe. Even if you're just kind of browsing by and you're just looking at it, do me a favor and just hit the like button, because I'm making an effort here. I'm making an effort. I do all the graphics. I do all the intros. I do all the special effects. I created all this stuff, okay? And I will be leveling it up more. I'm going to be on panels, and I'll be doing sit-down interviews on couches, and you can see all the bells and whistles. I'm fighting for it every day, single day. I'm doing this all by myself. It's all my funding, everything, every dime I make and everything. I put it into all the work that I'm doing at Daris Site Entertainment. So Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. And why do I call it Individual Perspective? It's because I truly feel that majority of our culture, the way that we live our lives for the last 60 to 70 years, has taken away our individuality. And people think they're individuals. They're very confident. Some people are very successful, but they're not individuals. They're product of their parents or their culture or their education, their community, the environment that they're in, and societal things. And they haven't really looked inside themselves, their hearts, their mind, their understanding, and see if what they believe is true. And if you believe something that's not true, then you're not an individual, because you're moving and you're operating on something that is hypothetical, that is ideologically made up, is in theory, is in idealism. And to be an individual, you live in truth, and then you understand that you must harness the truth and give your own perspective of the truth. Not perspective of a situation, the perspective of the truth. The thing that needs to be analyzed is what's fact, not to analyze in opposition of what could be the truth. Or I don't really look at that, because even if that's the truth, it's not what I feel or how I feel it should go, or I feel that's morally how it should be. It's not about morals. It's about what's the truth. And that, even if you're in a ideological morality clause, or you're judging people, at least judge from the truth, that you actually know what the truth is. That society and things and people and influencers, podcasters, politicians, celebrities, movie stars, musicians, anybody, they're not making you believe what you're believing. You know what the truth is. You know what the blunt truth is, and you're choosing to give off a persona or a communication of opposition to the truth, but you know it's the truth. You haven't fooled yourself. You're lying, and you're actually saying there's a purpose for you lying, so that's why you're lying. That you still will have an individual perspective, but at least you need to know what the truth is. And people are operating not knowing what the truth is and making themselves believe something that they don't want to, something that's they want to believe, but in opposition is the truth. The truth is in opposite of what they believe. So it's to create an individual perspective, you need to have an objective analysis. You need to use the Socratic method of communication, of analyzing. No one is sacred from analyzing. No one is sacred from scrutiny. No one is sacred from vetting. Not your mama, not your daddy, not your family members, not your community, not the culture, not your race, not the societal as a whole. Everybody has to be vetted. Everything needs to be vetted. It's not good for you. I'm talking to you, the individual. It's not good for you to not have an individual knowing of the truth. And I think we have a society where we don't value that. I always look down because I'm always looking at monitors and different things of what's going on. But I'm going to try my best to keep looking at this camera and everything like that. But look, that's what individual perspective is. It's to knowing and not to fool yourself, not to trick yourself, not to lie to yourself. It's crazy. And it has made our society terrible. And we don't even know how to deal with each other. We get into relationships where our true being is not on prominence because societal wise, it may seem to be not in favor of how you conduct yourself with other people. But who you are gets you to where you want to go and gets you there in a clear, objective way where it's more probable for a better outcome because you're not doing these random thoughts and random calculations in how you move. You're moving exactly how you feel you need to move, and that's all your focus is, and that's how you're really doing what you feel that should be done. And you're not kind of equating in all these exterior thought process and ideological understandings and everything like that. That's why you see a lot of winners. If you look at them, they're very focused. They're very selfish. They're very narrow-minded. But the people that are close to them benefit off of it. Most of the time, man, we don't make money for the jury and all the other stuff. We make it to make sure that our people that's close to us are taken care of, and they could be in the la la land. They could be the happy wanderer. We don't have the privilege of being a happy wanderer. So yes, with individual perspective, you are red pill, meaning that not like red pill for the manosphere and all the other stuff. Red pill for how the Matrix said it is. You're in complete understanding what the truth is, and you're moving on that. You're moving on how what's the gratitude you should have for packaging meat and going to the store and purchasing it. That barter trade. How much of our manufacturing in America did we outsource it to other countries, and it made us where we're a consumer country and we really don't have a value. So all the new value is almost like we're going back to the the mid to late 1800s, where we're kind of trading furs and stuff like that. In a way, that's where we're at. No one would come out and say that, but that's where we're at. So it's almost impossible for you to level yourself up economically because you got to do that on technology. You got to do that on software. You got to do that on tech management, tech engineering, and all the other stuff. And you got to go into construction, and you have to go into oil rigging. You got to go into electrician. You got to do some of the major building of the world in order to make money, because the basics are, we gave it away. People don't even know a lot of our farms have been bought by China. So China owns our meat, and we got to hope that they allow that most of the meat stays here instead of getting shipped it to China, because they have the right to ship it all to China, and whatever they decide, we have to buy it back from them. That's what we did to our own country. So I blame, a lot of people love Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was one of the worst presidents we had. One of the worst presidents that we had, but illogically, people think he was great. But he sold the country out. A lot of our immigration policies are so mixed up and jumbled up, and he had the chance of making it right. But he prolonged a situation, and maybe we had issues with maybe like 1 million people sneaking over here, but we start to get 10 to 20 million people because of the things that Ronald Reagan did. 9/11 was because Ronald Reagan armed rebels inside of Afghanistan against Russia. When Ronald Reagan armed and gave weapons and money to rebels in Afghanistan to overthrow the Russia military in the 80s, that let the Taliban and all the different militia groups and everything know how to actually deal with money in actual overseas accounts and everything like that, where it built Al Qaeda. They're not gonna tell you this, but the reason why I'm telling you this is an individual perspective. I know what the truth is. That's why I can articulate it so quickly like that. I'll give you an example like that. That's what you need to do in your own life. You have to vet what you know. It is all bad. It's all lies. And the truth is not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not peaceful. Okay? So yes, if you create an individual perspective, you are telling yourself that you are not going to be a peaceful person. Because knowing what the truth is, you'll see all around you. You can't really coexist with a lot of people. It's very rare that you meet people that you're going to be able to coexist because they're walking, talking, full of shit. Excuse my language so early, but I got to be honest, okay? So that's what individual perspective is a objective way of analyzing and analyzing what you know, what you hear, what you see, and what goes into your heart and what goes into your mind is the truth. And when you communicate it, it is the truth and it's your truth. The truth is your truth. Not your truth is the truth. It's the truth is your truth. And you will never allow yourself to be lied to. You will never allow yourself to lie to you. And that helps. I think that helps make a better world, make a better place that we can build from. And I know we're in the jungle right now. It's about 2 to 3 generations got to die off in order to correct all this. I know that's a strong statement. So what I wanted to do is just come in, have an introduction to you guys, what individual perspective is and what's the purpose of my podcast. And it's not a first podcast. It's a first podcast that I'm saying I'm going to do it and we're not going to stop. Never. We're going to only grow. We're going to only multiply and get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. So what I wanted to do is come in and just communicate with you guys and give you an example of what I mean by individual perspective. First, what I want to do is I want you guys to have a real understanding. The title of the show is How Your Real World Works. How your real world works. And I'm sorry, I'm always looking to the right, but I should be looking at you guys. How your real world works. You can't really understand the phrasing of that until we know what the real world is, or some kind of example or psychosis, or how can I say, illogical reference, a relative reference to how your real world works. Okay. So what I wanted to do, I just wanted to come in really raw, give you guys a visual U.S. and worldwide population clock. What is this population clock? This actually from the census and real historical data that we get on a day-to-day basis from the world. And it becomes finite when you're looking at it from America's data. Okay. And what I mean by that is we're able to kind of really understand how many people died today, how many people were birthed today. And you always hear it in ideological speak that we have one person that is birthed in 9 seconds and one person that dies in 9 seconds. That's crazy, but it's real. This is from the census data, okay? So what I want to do is really quick. I'm going to actually, because up in the upper right-hand corner, they were supposed to really show the census, the like address because this is the actual United States of America census reporting, and you can't see it on top, so you won't believe me if I just tell you. So I don't want to start off anything that make you guys think that what it is not it. It is. You get what I'm saying? So what I want to do is I want to shrink this down a little bit. Give me a second. I'm kind of messing up a couple things here. I want to make sure I clean this up. So the real data is the truth of the matter, okay? And when you know what the truth is, you don't allow anyone to communicate anything else but the truth to you. And I think that we kind of sugarcoat what we pretty much know. There's things that we have an understanding of what's the truth and everything. But for some reason, we kind of lie to ourselves because the truth is nasty. It's not pretty. It is really not pretty. So when it's not pretty, we kind of want to politically or ideologically, we want to like not make it part of an everyday conversation because we may not want kids to know the darkness or the what they call morbidness of the world. You know what I mean? But by doing that, we've kind of shielded the truth from adults in our everyday communication with each other. So now the average adult is not in clear understanding of the world that they're living in and really how blunt it is. Okay. So that's what I was doing, guys. Just so you can, if you see it on the screen, you'll see that I kind of shrinked it down so you can see the actual census. This is the census website, okay? And how we collect data, real data, okay? So what I want you to understand is understand and really use your head. If you're actually born, if like a person is born every 9 seconds, a person dies 9 seconds. And our government puts it on an actual government website, they have to have the data to represent that. I don't care what you guys think. They're not going to put something up there that that they can't communicate the data. They can be sued for that. Or they could be looked at as bad propaganda or bad data analyzing or trickery data analyzing, and that will kind of be in what's mostly done in the government. So they gotta somewhat stay as close as possible to the data that they have. So in the real world, a person is born every 9 seconds and a person dies every 9 seconds, somewhat generally around that time frame. That's what this data and what the actual true data says. All the hospitals, all the 911, all the information, the data that we absolutely can gather on a year-to-year basis that summarize what's the most collective majority and consistent amount of time that we see how many people get born, how many people die in 9 seconds. They're saying every 9 seconds a person is born and a person dies. Our data says it's 343 million people that live in our country that we know is there. You know what I mean? So if that's what the data says, let's hold for the second. Let's give some realization that that's the world we living in. That's the world we living in. Where one birth every 9 seconds, one death every 9 seconds. Okay. And they said one international migrant every 23 seconds is born or dying. Okay. Net gain of one person every 23 seconds, meaning a person is established and like they're healthy and they're not gonna die. You know what I mean? So that's the real world we're living in, y'all. So 343 million people live in the United States of America. We have over 8 billion people in the world on Earth. Okay, this is the real data, y'all. This is what they actually have to somewhat, if they was to gather every hospital, every 911, every body, everything in the country, in the world. These are the numbers. At the least we know for sure, because that's why we got a finite information. That's why we could talk about 9 seconds and 9 seconds for death and birth. We could talk about that because we got plenty of data to represent it. The reason why I want you guys to emphasize that that's the world. That's your world. That's the situation you're dealing with. So every time you listen to this podcast, every time you're doing whatever you're doing, you're interacting with whoever you're interacting with, you're living the life that you're living, and you got to understand there's really good people, really good kids are dying every 9 seconds of your life. Every 9 seconds of your day. That's what's real. That's what can be proven. Okay? That's facts. So once you understand that, now you know the game. Now you know why people that's doing better than you. Why? What are they moving on? They're not moving on this. Their parents are probably moving on this. Their grandparents are probably moving on this. Their system, their organization, their culture around them are moving on this stuff. This is a collective of understanding that they know about the opportunity that's in front of them. So they've been programmed or raised to follow a routine of understanding value and self-value. And we're not communicating to each other like that. So I wanted to start a baseline understanding. That's what this episode is about. A baseline of understanding of who you are and who I am. And no matter what, it goes from the lowest to the highest. And what stops us from becoming who we want to become, achieving what we want to achieve, is that we have so much psychological noise from other people inside our head. From other things inside our head. Those things are from people. So once we understand, we gotta quiet our head and know self-sustainability, self-stability gives help to other people outside yourself. But if you can't get yourself I'm sorry for stuttering, but my mind is trying to articulate this. If you can't get your face off the ground, I don't want to say if you can't get yourself off your knees, if you can't get yourself off your knees. And that's why I'm stopping myself from saying, if you can't get yourself off your knees, it's not good enough. Because most Americans, their face is on the cement ground. People spit on the ground, people walk in shit, and they walk on the ground, and the rain may wash it up, but shit was right there. I want you to understand that. That's where your face is and your lips on the ground. In the totality of what's going on in our everyday lives around us, that's the situation you're really in. If you're not a multimillionaire, if you're not a billionaire, that's where you're at. If you're not like over, let's say, if you're not over $75,000, that's where you're really at. If you don't feel that, then don't you understand how fortunate of a country you live in? Because that's the situation you're in. The average person makes $37,000 to $47,000. Well, actually, $32,000 to $47,000 a year. The average person. 343, most of those are kids. You got about 170 million people that actually are part of the labor market. See that? Part of the labor market is about 170. It's been that way for a long time. A long time. At least like, let's say 160, 165. You had that at the highest. You had that for, we're talking about 20 years. 20 years. The data says about 165 at the most has ever been. Like, did you see this? You see the lines, 144 in 2004, 150 in 2014. You get what I'm saying? 170, let's say 175 in, I'm thinking this is like 2020. You know what I mean? Drops a little bit, goes right back to the highest amount that ever been employed is in 1970. I mean, not in 1970, but 2024. That's the highest amount that's ever actually been employed in America. 170 million people. Okay? So that's so 343 Americans that live in this country. Out of those 143 million Americans, 170 are actually working and paying taxes and all that. That's millionaires, billionaires, down to $32,000 a year. Okay? When you understand those numbers, you understand your playing field. Your playing field, okay? Now, I think we're in an economy, and we kind of been in it for the last 10 years. 10 to 15 years we've been in the economy where it's an attack on the consumer. Meaning the most valuable thing to a company, to the economic structure of the country, is to find a way to be fair to the consumer, because you want them to have the incentive to make money, to get more, to purchase more, to do more economically. But if you attack them and spit in their face when they buy a loaf of bread and say, you gonna buy this loaf of bread because we got to deal with all the other bread manufacturers to keep our price around the same amount. And because you always grew up eating this type of bread, you're going to still buy my bread. So shut up and just pay $2 extra that I'm just throwing on the price. Not that the manufacturing needs to be $3. It's that Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals hate each other, and they hate each other and they blaming each other for the economic pricing of goods that the companies are saying, well, we could blame it on the pandemic. Our manufacturing is back down to pre-pandemic time, so we don't really need that much to inflate the price of a product for stability of our companies anymore, because the prices are went down and the pricing to do what we do is back down and everything. But who's gonna, like, they're blaming each other for the price raise. We're not gonna get in trouble for raising the price because of the bad situation of the pandemic, and we must rehabilitate our company or give our stability to our company. So the government and consumer index, they're saying companies have to put money in their pocket because everybody shut down and they lost 6 months to 8 months to 10 months of real revenue. So they gotta somewhat hike their prices to kind of get back some of that buying power or operation power. But they went 3 years, 4 years over the pandemic, and we're still paying pandemic prices where everything doubled up. A candy bar is originally manufacturing and back to that amount. I don't care what nobody say. May cost them to make, to ship, and to give it to the consumer $1, $1.50. But we're paying $3. But the manufacturer and everything and what it takes to sell and make profit off of it is $1.50. But we're not paying $1.50. We're paying double up process, like if they got a problem with shipping and manufacturing and everything like that, and they don't got no issues. You got every single liberal and crazy, even the conservative states, put 50 to 70 cents on every gallon of gas. So we're up there, not because the barter trade and shipment of and packaging of oil and all that stuff. It's that everybody's trying to rehabilitate the bank account of the government, state, local wise to government wise, in order to give more money to the system. So they're hiking these prices and they're making us live about, I'll say we're technically living about 30 to 40% over what really things cost. Then you have an influx during the Biden administration where we actually allowed 15 to 25 million people to cross over the border. See, you guys don't remember, but we were doing 1 million people like every month. It was crazy. They were doing 100,000 people weekly sometimes. Every 3 days, every 4 days. It was crazy. Crazy. That's real. That's not Republican. It's not conservative. That's not opposition of Democrats. It's just what it was. They had to find some place to put these people if they're going to allow them to come in because they want to help. They want to give people the opportunity. We can't turn off the borders. We can't have borders because we took this country. We don't have a right to tell people that they can't come in this country. If that illogical point of view is how we going to live, that's what happened, y'all. So we had all these people come in, and guess what? The black people that finally got themselves to an economic position, they try to buy a house, but guess what? The government is paying for those condos. They paying for those apartments. They're paying for those houses to house 25 million new immigrants that just flushed into the country. So the opportunity to purchase a house that you had yesterday, you don't got that no more. You don't have it. It got taken up. We're doing deals with India because India say, no, let my immigrants come to your country. We'll pay for it. We'll pay for it. You don't have to let them come in and where they live off you guys and they scavenge. No, we're going to put $200,000 in their pocket, $800,000 in their pocket. They're going to come in and buy up all your new houses. You're going to exchange hands. So you got Blackstone and big conglomerate real estate companies actually going into the hood, going into neighborhoods, going into the suburbs, going all over the country and buying up hundreds and hundreds of thousands of houses, new houses, old houses, rehabilitate the houses. And you got big companies in the local mom and pop real estate market now, and they giving it all to multi-billion-dollar buyouts from India, from China. Then our government paying for Hispanics, Mexicans, Venezuelans, Honduras, Salvador, all kind of other stuff. Our government buying the houses up from the market to give it to some place to house these new migrants. This is what happened. I know I don't want you to think I'm being racist. I don't want you to think I'm being anti-immigration. I'm just saying it's unsustainable. That's the world you're living in. That's your world. Real stuff. That's your world you're living in. That's why it's so hard to do the most basic stuff, to get the most basic outcomes. You can't get it. You can't get it. We way over what's supposed to be naturally done. We're way over it. We're in some crazy hypothetical doing. We're doing hypotheticals. And we're the repercussions of just doing things that don't make sense, and it's been done. That people that plot and strategize and play the game and play the rules and follow the rules, they suffer. They miss it. So now you got a bunch of people that's missing life. Bunch of Americans that are missing life. Bunch of black people that are missing life, and they thought they had it. They thought they almost had it. Like, oh, come on, man. I'm doing more than I ever did in my life. I'm doing more than what my parents ever did in my life, and I'm still struggling. I'm still fighting. It's because the system is doing things that just don't logically make sense. And who suffers for that? The baseline people. So, who's the baseline people? Average people. We have a level up culture. What's a level up culture? Level up culture says nobody's supposed to be in America supposed to be making under six figures. Every single American citizen is supposed to be making above six figures or more, $100,000 or more. If you're not, you should not have a kid. You shouldn't get married. You should have no partner that respects you, or a family that respects you, or friends that respect you. You are garbage and you're a waste of life, and you just need to die off, or just I don't know, do something better. Our society, our human evolution has not been that way for 200 to 3,000 years. Even in America, even if you go from 1880 to now, to 2026, even if you utilize that thought process and the data on that, you had 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds working at a convenience store, working at a fast food restaurant, working at a grocery store, cashier, a stock room, garbage men, plumbers, everything that we spit on and say it's ridiculous if you're making under $100,000. Everything. You talking about majority of the population of America that's actually busting their butt working hard every single day. Of course they want more. They don't need a piece of shit podcaster or an influencer to tell them, level up, get yourself up, put yourself in a situation to do more. You could go into this, you could buy stock, you could do DoorDash, add more money to your pocket. You could do this. They don't need you to tell them that. They already doing that. They already doing it. I hope I'm not modulating because I think I just went too high. Okay, problem. They don't need you new assholes to tell them how to level up. They busting their ass. They busting their ass. And no matter what the economic growth is, they feel hard. They feel like they worked hard. They feel like they fought for something today. And they go home and they want to be respected. No matter how you look at it, no matter how society looks at it, they want to be respected for their attempt or what they're actually doing on a day-to-day fight. But we, as a culture, are we're telling them, you failed. Automotive industry, the average employee of Ford, Chrysler, GM, average $56,000. Most of their career, they think they was doing it real big because they was making $60, somewhat close to $70,000. If they were lucky to be supervisors or something higher, or just seniority over 20, 30 years gave them the amount of money that they could make $60,000 to $70,000. But majority, 20 years, 15 years, 20 years, they got $56,000 and they happy with that. They not happy with it, but they actually bought boats. They bought their house. They put their kids through college. You know what I mean? And now, because of the level up culture, everybody's inflating their money. Everybody's inflating the value of the most common sense things, the most basic things. Everybody's inflating it off of ego, in that government and ideological political point of views have given them the right to say, the pandemic hurt you. You could take your prices up. Yeah, take your prices up for a couple years. But indefinite? That's unsustainable. Why? Because you just threw in 20 to 30 migrants, illegal migrants, some of them. Well, most of them, sorry. Yeah, it's about another 5 to 10 million that we did deals with India and China and Japan and different countries to allow a lot of people to come over here and learn and build and stuff like that, which is all right. I know plenty of descendants of different countries and everything that are phenomenal human beings, and they get it done. And they got it done fair, and they came over here the right way and legally and all the other stuff. The illegal immigrants are another 20 million people, 25 million people that how can an illegal immigrant pay their taxes? That's illegal. That's illegal. Meaning that our government do illegal stuff on a day-to-day basis. If we're taking taxes from an illegal immigrant, our government's illegal. Our judicial system's illegal. Just on that alone, you got to free every criminal, white collar, in jail for whatever they did. Why? Because you're illegitimate. You're illegitimate. You took taxes from an illegal immigrant. That's illegal. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I didn't even want to go this crazy. I really did. But it's just when I think of the things that Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, they all garbage. And then podcasters and all them. This is ridiculous. Everything y'all say is dumb on a baseline. It's dumb. I hope I'm not modulating too much because I got a noise gate on there, but I don't know if I'm pushing it too hard. Sorry. Woosah. See, this is why I don't do podcasts that much, because I don't like to blink out like this all the time. But we gotta set a baseline. We gotta know what world we're living in, okay, and how our world works. Okay, so once you understand the data of it, once you understand the realization of the world, and look, I'm talking to Black Americans, I'm talking to white Americans, I'm talking to Americans, Asian, Hispanics, Native Americans, or Native culture that actually, like, they wonder what's going on. What's going on? This new stuff, this new stuff that Ronald Reagan did, and what Ronald Reagan did, it didn't play out for about 10, 20 years. So in the last, like, 20 years, you've been feeling it. Why? Because it's all stuff that just was done that really messed up how the numbers work in the country. It really messed up to how the numbers work. So something that's done in the 80s, you didn't really feel it until the early 2000s. And then the things in the early 2000s, you really didn't feel it until now. Especially when the pandemic hit, it really made something that wouldn't have hit us so much in the next 5 to 10 years is hitting us now. So what are the numbers? The numbers is too many kids in this house. There's too many people living in this house and not enough people actually making the house work. So everybody in here is innocent bystanders to how we in this house. So we see this in our own houses where it's not enough going on to really push forward or elevate up. So even in my own life, it's about aggressively attacking on a day-to-day basis, a minute-to-minute basis, an hour-to-hour basis to always do more, get more. Because that's how you try to, like I always say to people, if you want to try to somewhat like get a clear thought process, you're going to have to, if you're making $15 an hour, you're going to have to make $30 an hour. If you're making $30 an hour, you're going to have to make $60 an hour. If you're going to make $60 an hour, you're going to have to make $120 an hour. So the only way you're going to be able to do that is you got to have two $15 jobs, two $30 jobs, two $60 jobs, two $160 jobs. I mean, $60 jobs. Okay? I'm sorry, I messed that up. So you got to have two jobs, whatever rate you are making. When I did the numbers, I seen that the average person, if you want to have some kind of control over what's going on economically, politically, socially in the world, if you're going to be able to navigate through it and be able to survive it, or be in some way that you can look in the mirror, you got to make about $37 to $75 an hour. That gives you about $300 to $600 a day. By putting yourself in a place where you're making $37 to $75 an hour, $300 to $600 a day, you're putting yourself where you got buying power and you can actually move how you need to move in this country. If you can move in this country, you can move anywhere, because we are the most expensive country. We do the most, we make the most, we consume the most. It's just the way it is. So when I seen that, I'm like, man, it's not our culture to be okay working at a McDonald's or Popeye's Chicken, but have 2 Popeye's Chicken jobs, 2 McDonald's jobs. We kind of shame each other for just the one job, instead of saying, hey, I'm busting my butt for 8 to 12 hours a day, doing overtime, doing whatever I got to do to try to win, try to do something more, try to play the hand I got. Not what I wish I have, not what you wish I have, what I got. Play the hand that I have, okay? So we shame each other, and it stops us from even biting on opportunity and rationalizing the number and getting the outcome of the numbers that we want. Because in the end, have the numbers. That's all that matters. Your household need to have that number. $37 to $75 a day. I'm sorry, hour. It needs to have that. Your life and your household need to have the numbers. $37 an hour to $75 an hour. $300 a day to $600 a day. You need to be able to have that numbers and how your household moves. Okay? That's a lot. I'm not lying. It's a lot. You get what I'm saying? Especially for the average house, every average person, to what's going on economically around us, and the trickery and the backstabbing and that socially and culturally, we're not positive outcome people. We're more like stepping on people to get to where we want to go. Destroying people, pushing people off the cliff in order to take the position. That's our culture. That's how we moving. For some reason, the last 15 to 20 years, that became the good thing to do, the most proactive thing to do, the most productive way to be. Get your bag. So that culture has made us where it's not pretty, it's not moral, it's about end results, it's about outcome. So I just want you guys to know, this is how this is how your real world works. The world that you're living in, this is how your real world works, okay? And I want to show you one other thing, okay? They say, I'm not saying that you guys going to be able to do this or anything. I just want you to know how society thinks of you, how it looks at you, how it values you. And if you can somehow fight this battle, and the only way you're going to fight any battle that might be put in front of you is find a way to have $37 to $75 an hour, $300 to $600 a day of income. And you can fight anything that I'm showing you, any conversation that people are having. You'll have that outcome. Okay. So, the best jobs and stuff, and this is from the data that we know to be true, okay? So a nurse practitioner, and we kind of pandemic, they always been up. It's just too much stuff, too many people getting too crazy stuff. It's too much. It's just too, like we had a biological attack in 2020 that we don't even want to articulate it that way. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if I'm gonna get censored on it, which they shouldn't be censoring nobody for that anymore. But I can't even tell you. IT manager, that's what I do. I'm very much I do IT management for different servers and companies. I build companies like Netflix, and I do stuff like their management of the data, putting data entries in it, putting all the information, and sometimes I even have to go into the CSS coding and to Java and all that stuff. So that's what I do. IT management. I'm a filmmaker, but when I'm trying to do more and I'm trying to spread myself out, I build apps, I build websites, I do graphic design, I do special effects, and I manage servers and back end IT stuff for people, actual media companies and stuff like that. So that's what I do. A physician assistant, financial manager. Those are consultants and people that can come in and look at your books and kind of give you a better way of what you buy. Don't buy that soap. Buy this soap. Buy this tissue. You don't need to spend that much money on your tissue. I don't care if people don't like how it make it feel, how it feels on them. Don't spend that kind of money to make your employees or the people that come to use their bathroom, because that is not a principal operation of making sure you have good tissue for people that come to your building, your hotel, or whatever. So that in that situation, consultants come in, financial managers come in, and they help you out and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna keep going over this. Software developers, like I said, building stuff in JavaScript and CSS and just going into different servers and everything, Amazon World Server, and kind of building stuff and just building people whatever their operations of the company want to have and everything like that. So that's another thing I do. Pretty much, you got to do that when you're doing the IT management. So you got to have the ability of doing that stuff. Okay. Information security analyst. So, looking at different tech stuff of like, bugs and viruses and stuff like that. It goes without saying. Okay. You get what I'm saying? So, let's see. Medical and health services. Like I said, anything post-9, especially the pandemic with the actual health stuff that just pushed up. They making more money. If you're not getting the right amount of money that you should get if you work in the health industry, it's because you're not positioning yourself well. You know what I mean? It's like the money's there, and it's like money that it won't be there always, but for sure within the next, I'll say 5 to 10 years, you can get double the amount that they used to pay, double to triple the amount that they used to pay for the position in the medical field. It's crazy. Okay, data scientist, that's like you analyzing data, insight, and stuff like this. It's like a financial consultant to the data, to technology analyzing, what you need to do to establishments, what you do, what kind of systems you need to build, what kind of servers you need to have, what kind of data you need to have, what kind of code that you need to have, what back end code that you need to have for your system, DRMs, whatever, and all that stuff like that. So speech language pathologist, yeah, because all the different languages and pretty much everybody country is becoming like a melting pot like crazy, you know what I mean? Where in the psychology of the actual countries and how people run the countries is that you must adopt the newcomer's way of being. So you gotta, have somebody that can kind of navigate within the different language barriers and stuff like that. Okay. And I'm only doing the top 10, but there's so much more on here and everything. These are the top 100 best ways of making money, best successful ways of having a job or whatever in America, marketing management, knowing how to turn viewerships and get content and all that stuff, how to draw people to your market, what they call how to build a sales funnel. That they do all this crazy minutia conversation, but all it is building a sales funnel. A lot of this stuff, marketing management and everything, and actuary and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? So it's just a way of analyzing risk, what to do, what your outcome is, and all the other stuff. But the reason why I wanted you guys to go over that a little bit with you is because you need to know how the world works. This is what they feel is the most valuable people walking around this country. They don't think grocery store stock people are valuable. They don't think garbage men are valuable. They don't think road construction employees are valued. They don't think that Popeye's chicken and restaurant and fast food workers are valuable. They are absolutely valuable. It is a function and operation that everybody using on a day-to-day basis. These are day-to-day operations, but at the same time, the people that they put their money behind and they backing behind and bills behind and technology behind and function behind is the people that are making it where these people almost, it's like the people that need fast food. You know what I'm saying? That's where the mind's going towards. That's where the value going. So I'm not saying that that's wrong. You get what I'm saying? Because when you open up like a construction place or a manufacturing building or operation and everything like that, you need the restaurant. So when these people take a break, they can go to that restaurant. They can have something around them that they can eat. They can shop. They can do whatever they have. So all these highfalutin people that we value so much higher than the average person, they got to come to the average person for services and get what their function is. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying that we have to put value to things that we absolutely have as our actual day-to-day operation stuff. We can't keep disrespecting the gas station clerk because he's a gas station clerk. You can't say that that person don't deserve a wife, a kid, because they're not a nurse practitioner or IT manager. You can't say that. And also, anybody with those titles that I just showed you, they should be getting paid what they worth. A lot of us, we're kind of working in the environment of new entrepreneurs or people that are striving to be entrepreneurs, and we're kind of working 70% under the number that we should be charging because you gotta make things work. You gotta have things going on, and you gotta do so much multiple stuff. If you sell yourself to somebody, now you're under the paradigm of that structure, and that's all you can do. And the world builds people, the world is built for people with broad spectrum of things working and going and working for them. And then somehow, sooner or later, in order for you to survive, you have to have some turnover cash flow. Somebody, sooner or later, you have to have passive income. And that's what's going on here, okay? So, look, I know I'm saying a lot, but I am just giving a presentation on how your real world works. And you got to have an individual perspective to know what's in your head, if it's the truth, if it's what it is, if it's the blunt situation of it. I hope I showed an example of my rants and everything that I'm doing right now and I'm communicating. I hope I showed an example to you guys about how we need to think and how we need to move with each other. You get what I'm saying? Because it's important. It really is. It really is. So I'm going to come back in. I got a lot of other stuff, podcasts we got to do. We got to do some Minnesota stuff. We got to do some Venezuela stuff. We got to do some political stuff because the context is, trust me, they lied to you when they told you that politics is just politics and it shouldn't be in your Thanksgiving table. It should absolutely be. You cannot keep not having a conversation with your family members about what they believe in and why they believe in what they believe in, because every time they make a move, the policies that the politicians that they're voting for, they're at your front door now. They're at all of our front door. They're in our house now. So we can't look the other way. We can't say that it's okay for each other to believe in what we believe in and have the beliefs that we believe in. I'm not saying we alienate each other. We never talk to each other, but we got to at least communicate. You're against my life. You're against what my outcome is. You're against what I'm trying to get accomplished. You're against what it has done to our society, what it has done to our relationships, what it has done to our culture, what it has done to the way that we just on baseline function as a human being with individual rights. Rights are not for a group of people, a collective of people that agree with each other. They're for every single individual human being. What's fair to me and what's just for me may not be just for you, and you're wrong. It may not be just for me and I'm wrong. It has to be right and just for the individual, absolute, logical, and the what's baseline truthful. We have to stop reading things and say, oh, that to me, that means this. No, it means what's the sentence structure, where the comma, the punctuation, what the definition of the word. It's not how you interpretate things. It's not your perspective of things. It's what it is. It's the truth. And the individual perspective should be the truth. So I just think it's really hard to collaborate with people or have some kind of unification with people when just the basics of our understanding is in opposition ideologically. Idealism. It's bad. So look, this is what individual perspective is. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It went a little bit over, but I just wanted to give an introduction of individual perspective, but I also wanted to give an introduction of how we gonna move. What I'm gonna be communicating on this platform. How your real world works. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. You're gonna have to be self-centered. You're gonna be you're like it's already very self-centered. Everybody's are very what's good for me and what's if you have a moral compass, if you have a good spirit about you, if you have a just and realistic understanding of yourself and of what it is, then hopefully you know whatever selfish motivation and focus and driven ideological or goals that you have, that you must be ruthless and steadfast and relentless on. End results is that you're doing it to stabilize your family, your friends, the people around you. That's end results is that's what you're going for. But I say you can do it. Trust me, you can do it with truth and honesty and logic and honor and integrity. You just got to understand that, of course, another human being don't want what's best for you. They want what they understand. And what they understand may not be the best for you. It may not help you. It may not give you the outcome that you want for everybody, for yourself, for what's best for you to help to be in existence with them. It may not be what's best for you to look at it from somebody's point of view or somebody else's well-being. You have to kind of focus on what's the goal, what's the outcome, is that outcome beneficial to the end results of what you want to do for what your surrounding is, what your household is, and what your overall goal of doing this stuff for. That's an individual perspective. And yes, we have to be honest with each other. And from my understanding, the truth is black and white. And it'll give you every result that you want. The right answer, the truth answer is what's best for you in what you're doing and what you believe. So that's how I look at it. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. Please like, follow, subscribe. Please, we need to get these numbers up. I know I'm talking like this, and you're like, what are you talking to? Talking to the sky? Talking to the moon? Who are you talking to, yourself? Yes. And I hope you guys join me. Okay? I'll see you guys on the next episode. This Individual Perspective Podcast. Oh, we're about to get started.